Everybody's favorite failed gubernatorial candidate is back. Former Arizona gubernatorial candidate Kari Lake holds a wide lead over other prospective challengers in the hypothetical Arizona Senate Republican primary, according to a new poll. A poll released by JL Partners and shared with The Hill on Monday found Lake receiving 38% support in an Arizona Senate GOP primary among registered Republican and undeclared voters, followed next by former Arizona gubernatorial candidate and developer Karen Taylor Robson at 10%. Pinal County Sheriff Mark Lamb came in third at 8%, followed by a former Arizona Senate candidate Blake Masters with 7%. Former State Attorney General candidate Abe Hamadeh with 4%. Businessman and former Arizona Senate candidate Jim Lamon at 3% and 2% saying someone else. But a large swath of response, 29%, said they're undecided, meaning there's plenty of time for voters to coalesce around candidates other than Lake. So far, Lamb is the only candidate to enter the race officially. Lake retained an edge among both voters who expressed a preference for former President Trump and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis as their presidential picks. But among voters who did not have a presidential primary preference, Lake found herself tied for first place against Robson at 13%. If Kari Lake decides to run, it's clear she is not only the front runner, but will run away with the nomination. The GOP establishment would be smart to get behind her right away so we can win Arizona, said one GOP strategist who requested anonymity to speak candidly. The polling comes as Senator Kyrsten Sinema, independent of Arizona, has not yet formally announced whether she will run for re-election, though. The Wall Street Journal reported earlier this month that she's gearing up for another run. Rep. Ruben Gallego has announced a run on the Democratic side because Sinema is now a registered independent. It frees them up in full to run separately to avoid a primary challenge. The polling is also likely to confirm fears some Republicans have expressed about a possible Senate bid from Lake, whose name recognition remains strong among her base, but whose espousal of election conspiracy theories could cost her in a general election. The same poll found Trump leading DeSantis in Arizona 47-24. Damn. The JL Partner poll was conducted between April 10th to April 12th with 550 registered Republicans and undeclared voters. The margin of error is plus or minus 4.2 percentage points. So, do I think Lake is going to run for Senate? Absolutely. Do I think she can win the Republican nomination? Absolutely. Do I think she can win the general election? That's more ambiguous. So I think this poll speaks a lot less about her popularity and more so her name recognition, because you have to remember when you're talking about Senate and governor races and even House races, most of the time the candidates are people that even those who live in that state or district or city have never even heard of. And Lake is famous at the very least around Arizona, and to a smaller degree on a national level, that easily more than anyone else that could be in that race besides Sinema, who's more infamous than anything else. The part where the strategist says the GOP establishment would be smart to get behind her right away so we can win Arizona, that's stupid. Anytime you have a primary, it's up to the candidate to win over the voters. So Lake may very well be the Republican nominee for Senate in 2024, but that shouldn't discourage people, whether it's the establishment GOP or other candidates, from making an effort to see if they'll be picked over her. But yeah, I chalk most of this up to name recognition and not really knowing who anybody else is. So when it comes to beating Sinema, who I'm going to assume is going to be her opponent, I don't know if the Democrats are going to actually try to run anybody against her. But I said that's ambiguous because on the one hand, Lake is a conspiracy theorist to her core, and she's a grifter and just a complete liar, right? And that's something that turns off a lot of independent voters. That's why she lost. That's one of the factors in her losing what was a very easily winnable gubernatorial race in a red state. But then you look at Sinema, who's been pissing off the progressive wing and even like a lot of moderates for not getting behind Biden's agenda, and in many cases, along with Manchin being the one to steamroll it. So you have two people who are basically trash that could end up facing each other, and in the event that that happens, I can't say for sure that who comes out over the other. I mean, it really is the lesser of two evils, and in that case, I would support neither of them. With regard to Lake's just stick, I have to tell you that if she were a serious, principled person who genuinely believed the election, the gubernatorial election was rigged against her, she would not even be considering running for Senate. She would say, these elections are rigged. There's no chance of me being able to win this because they're going to rig it against me. Do not donate to me. Because this is my thing. If you believe that the statewide elections in a red state are in favor of Democrats, why would you run again? What's the difference between 2024 to 2022? What's going to change in that 2-year period that is suddenly going to make this election free and fair? Again, according to your narrative. Now, what's going to happen is if she wins it, she won't complain about it being stolen or rigged at all. But if she loses it, get ready to hear more. Oh, we need to fight back. Give me some more money so we can protest the stolen election that I have no proof of anything, but I'm just talking on my butt because I'm trying to get more and more money out of being a politician. And it's just sad that like people really fall for that stuff. Like there's a lot of things that progressives and Democrats do that piss me off. More so regular Democrats than progressives. But at the very least, when they lose an election, they don't have the nerve to sit here and talk about this was stolen, this was rigged, they took this from me. Oh my God, they robbed me. And like that was something even Republicans were pretty good about believing in up until like 10 years ago, and especially over the last several years with the 2020 cycle. So she'll probably run again. If she wins, we'll have a conspiracy theorist as a senator. Not like we haven't had those before with all these Republicans that reject climate change. And if she loses, get ready to hear more about how rigged the election was and how she needs more money, because if we just keep filling up her bank account, she'll be able to finally muster up some proof as to how this election was taken from her.